Sam Shepard died a while ago. He died of ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, at his home in Kentucky. The progress of that illness is terrible, and Shepard kept it private. That seems to me to be entirely in keeping with his character, which I thought was quiet, thoughtful, taciturn, I think is the word, and a little tortured, but he didn't let that show. He was a long, cool drink of water with a chiseled face of a hero. He was an unusual combination, an oddball, a platypus, an actor and a writer. He first hit it big as a playwright, and I read those plays years ago. Cowboy Mouth, Buried Child, Fool for Love, A Lie of the Mind. I think I could feel the heat in them, but they didn't mean much to me. Then one night I happened to catch a production of True West on PBS. I think maybe John Malkovich was one of the brothers, but maybe not. Maybe I'm just dropping his name. Anyway, I thought the play was funny as hell, which surprised me. I'd caught a little dry humor in Shepard, but not that much. Those plays I mentioned won showers of awards, Pulitzers and Obies galore. Shepard became an actor in the movies with lots of roles over the years, usually a taciturn cowpoke. It must have paid well, and I think he liked it too, most of it. He met his second wife on a set, Jessica Lange. They were married for 30 years with 2 children. He had an older son too, and then abruptly they were no longer together. He came out with a book before he died entitled The One Within. That's a typically enigmatic title that probably refers to himself. I don't think he ever fully understood himself. In the book he refers to himself sometimes as he, sometimes as I. I got the feeling that neither one was completely real to him. I don't know what kind of a book it is. Fiction, memoir, journal, transcript, it doesn't matter really. There's a lot in it about his father, who flew a B-17 bomber in the war and was an alcoholic. Putting it mildly, Shepard had troubled relations with his father, as he did with women, as he did, I suspect, with himself, the one inside. The cover of the book depicts a medicine woman skedaddling across a desert toward distant mountains. She is wearing a dress fancy enough to suggest a wedding, and she's carrying a big old boombox, a combination of promising absurdities that I think he found very satisfying. In much of the book, he's 70 years old, and he's hanging out with a 20-year-old woman, which raises eyebrows on movie sets. In the past, his father is banging a young, she may be 14, girl named Felicity. Eventually, the son, Shepard, has sex with her too, something he denies when the police come around after finding her body hanging by a purse strap from a tree. There are a lot of meandering, looping conversations between the author and the young woman. He calls her Blackmail Girl. Sometimes he identifies himself as a writer who wanted to be a pro golfer, and other times he's an actor. Trying to find his way into a part, he begins with the character being an exile, a man apart, and he says that makes it easy for him to play. He knows all about that. He mentions a solid life of uncertainty. He says time has marooned us without feeling. And he says, or is it the girl, sometimes the most beautiful things are purely accidental. Here is a typical, I think, short section of the book. Maybe it's like that. A foot, hand, or idea. Something slips, shifts. You find yourself in another world. You weren't even looking. It just arrived, appeared, like a deer at dusk. Sudden, still. An ear twitches, another ear. You're not alone. You don't even see it. It sees you. Maybe it's just like that. The combination of what feels like a dream, then a very specific image taken from nature, and then a slide into mysticism. There he is, the one inside. I think he remained a stranger to himself, a mystery, something he could explore, something tied to his father, the one inside. I think he believed in some powerful spiritual being inside himself that flickered occasionally into near being, perhaps taking shape in his mind, but nothing ever came of it, not definitively or permanently. So he was constantly feeling he was coming up short in some way. Not in his work, not there, nor in his life, nor in his dying. Samuel Shepard Rogers III. Farewell.